First thing we're going to do is list all the games in this top 100. Right?
What?
That joke didn't land. Whatever. Go ahead.
It lost me, man. I've been driving a lot today.
You have been.
I'm not at my prime.
I know. The fact that you're doing this alone is insane.
3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph, and it's time for another Top 10, baby!
This one's confused. This is like 10ception.
This is, because this is a Top 10 within the Top 1,000.
Yeah, so let's explain this name real quick, because this name confuses me even. So Mike had this great idea of a top 10, is we each pick one game from each 100 in the top 1,000.
Of Board Game Geek.
I feel like that's still
So out of every 100 games, you only get to pick one.
So 0 to 100 ranked on BGG.
Only one of those
Boom.
games.
Then 101 to 200.
You only get one.
And then 201 to 300.
Only
all the
one.
way up to 901 to 1,000.
Yes, exactly. So these are not our top 10 games in the top 1,000.
No.
Because that would just be our probably our top 10 games of all time for the most part. But this is, kind of like a centuries
it's like
list. You get one in 100.
Yeah,
These are 1 in 100 games.
We put it out on our Patreon saying like, hey, help us name this. And some people said like top 10 century games, 1 in 100, a whole bunch of different ideas. Because we're like, we don't know what to name this.
Nah.
And so we went with that. Shouts out to Crystal Paisano for giving us that
Bam,
name.
we appreciate you.
But yeah, it's a 10ception ultimately. It's
Shouts
a top
out to
10
Jazz.
within a top 1,000.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be going for. Like we said, out of every set of 100 games, you only get to pick one, which is tough because in the top 1,000 of BGG, in each set, there's many games we like.
We thought it was going to be so easy, and it was so hard.
It's hard.
We each did choose different lists, and we made sure our list didn't have any crossovers, so it's 20 unique games on here.
Yeah.
And so I guess we go ahead and start. So we're starting with 1,000 to 901.
Which is number 10 for this list purposes. Okay, so from my 901 to 1,000, there's actually
game
a handful of games. This was not easy. It already became difficult. But what I'm going with is ranked 943 overall as of this recording, and it is Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 1.
I am astonished this is this low.
Me too, and I think this is one of the things that's a little tricky because each set of Unmatched is its own
That's an interesting
item
point. You're
on
probably
Board Game
right.
Geek, and I got a little bit of a cheat in here because I'm making this my number 10 because in my head I'm thinking of all of Unmatched everything goes into my love of this.
Yeah.
And it should be higher ranked, but that's the problem is you're not looking
you're
at
right.
an umbrella. It's a series of
Because people
games.
may not ever get even the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm curious, like in the end, like will there be one that's like really highly ranked and other ones that are low? I don't know, but I'm choosing this to think of Unmatched. So Unmatched is by Restoration Games. It is a 2 to 4 player scrimmage game. You're fighting each other using cards and stuff, and you have there's many sets now. In this first set, you have Sinbad, Alice in Wonderland, you have Medusa, and you have King Arthur. So they're mythical figures of legend and lore. And you get to just basically answer the question, who would win in a fight?
It's like
Let's
the
find
Ultimate
out.
Warrior, yeah.
Yeah, and each character, now there's many sets. You have Jurassic Park, you have Goblin Fog, which have Sherlock Holmes and Dracula. Buffy's coming out.
Oh, can't wait.
There's a ton of stuff coming out, and it just becomes cool because you get to see like how would these people fare in a fight, and then you get to get some really weird combinations of like how would 3 raptors do against King Arthur or against Bigfoot if you want to do all like animal based. There's all these cool combinations you can put together. So it's really cool. It uses simple cards for attack and
very
defense.
simple game, yeah.
And you can maneuver around the board to draw cards. And it's kind of a hand management game. And it's super fun, and each character feels super thematic. Their cards and the art and stuff, it's just
makes sense
really
for that character,
amazing production. So that's my number 10 is Unmatched, and I'm kind of thinking of like all of Unmatched, but this is specifically Battle of Legends Volume 1, which was the first
one,
Unmatched.
Yeah. All right, my favorite game in this 100, again, 901 to 1,000, is ranked 942 overall. What was your rank overall?
943.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, so 942, 943. Wow, that's weird. And mine is the Prodigals Club.
Yeah.
So the Prodigals Club, this one was a pretty, we could easily make a top 10 of each of these hundreds. If you want to see a top 10, put it down in the chat if you want to see
Join
us
our
do
Patreon
that.
or something, and we'll do it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, we'll, because man, it was tough.
We could get a list out of just about
Every one of these hundreds for sure. So this Prodigals Club is a sequel to Last Will, although they don't play that similarly. Basically, you are basically trying to be the worst person you possibly can. You're kind of a rich socialite, and you are trying to lose all your money, lose all your friends, and lose that dump truck.
Yeah.
And try to lose all your money, lose all your friends, and lose an election.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're trying to do all three of those things, and it's kind of got one of those mechanics where at the end of the game, so you have three essential scores: the friends, the money, and the election.
Yep.
Whatever is your highest score of those three, that's your score for the game.
And you want a low score to win.
Exactly, because you want no money, you want no friends, and you want to
No
lose the
votes.
election. Exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you can't just focus on something. You have to do a little bit of everything.
And you don't have much time.
No, you don't. And this is one of those games where you halfway through the game are just like, there's no way I can do this. And you always end up pulling it out, though. And that's the best part. It's incredibly fun.
It ramps up well. So the way the cards are laid out, you get kind of like Era 1 and Era 2 cards. So it does help you get there.
Yes.
But you have like 5 rounds. You have so little time.
It's
like,
worker placement, so everyone's trying to get the same stuff.
There's a lot of blocking.
It's
Thank
so
God
hard.
this game has such a light theme, or
Yes.
such an interesting fun theme, because it is not a light game
No,
at all.
Not at all.
It's brutal.
But this really silly theme where you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the park and just like yell about
Get drunk and whatnot.
Yeah, and just have like you go to a restaurant and just yell at people. And
Yeah.
it's like, and that's going to make me lose friends. And it's so light on top of a pretty heavy game, and it keeps it going. And Prodigals
so
Club
good.
is one of my favorite games of all time. I love it so much.
So fun.
That is my number 10. So let's move on into the next 100 and our number 9. So now we're looking at games from 801 to 900. And my number 9, which is in that list, is Crown of Emara, which is 859 overall.
It's really good.
This was a tough one because in this same 100 was Wendake, which is one of my favorite games. But Crown of Emara at this point might be in my top 10. I like it that much.
And that's with like relatively few plays.
Yes.
But with each play, we've both enjoyed it more and more.
Yes.
And you have really,
I love it
really dug it.
so much.
Yeah.
It's a very, very dry, themeless Euro. Nailed it.
It's got some tight mechanics, though.
It's got some tight mechanics. And basically what it is you have two sides of the board. There's like the city and there's like the countryside. And each of you have, I think they're called a counselor in each area. And you're essentially going around this board. And you have these cards. You have a teeny bit of deck building. And you have, well, actually, it's not even deck building. It's just kind of action selection, I suppose.
Action selection. Yeah.
But nonetheless, you play down a card. The card will have either 1, 2, or 3 movement on it, essentially, or you play it in a slot, essentially, that has 1, 2, 3 movement. And you can choose which one of your counselors to move in a circle, and then wherever you land, you get to do that action.
Right.
And essentially, on the countryside, you're essentially trying to get resources. You're getting wheat, you're getting wood, you're getting
working the
stone,
land,
you're
yeah.
getting cloth. Yeah, you're working the land.
Pants.
And then you get sorry, it's
Making
pants,
pants.
not cloth.
I got 4
specifically.
pants today.
Mike always has pants.
I specialize.
So you can get pants, and then you use those pants over on this half of the board, which is like you're going to the cathedral, you're going to like this place, you're going around the city essentially, and you're essentially trying to get points. But one of the cool things about this, kind of like Prodigals Club, is you have 2 scores. You have your like citizen score, and you have your building score.
Yeah.
Whichever one of those is the lower of your 2 scores is your score for the game. In this one, you don't want a low score though.
No.
And so you have
wanna
to
balance.
constantly move up the thing like this because you're constantly trying to balance it out, and it's really hard and it's really tight. The mechanics and the resources particularly
You're not going to have a ton of extra stuff.
Ooh, they're super tight. And then there's like cards you can get that give you like little special powers. I don't know. It's dry Euro garbage, and I love it so much. God, I love it so much.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's so good.
It's a great, like you said, the game of balance. It's funny because your other choice would have been Wendake, which is the same thing. You have to balance several tracks.
Incredibly difficult
Because your
game,
lowest
yeah.
track scores.
Yeah. That's actually a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's a
Crown of
good
Emara.
way to create like a good game.
Yeah.
You know, you got to focus
My
on
number
lots
9,
of things
try
at
if you
once.
haven't already. It's
really
incredible
good.
if you like Euro games.
My number 9 is rather new to me, but I played it a bunch. It's 804 overall, and it's Nations, the dice game.
You have been playing the butt end out of this.
Yeah, because Nations, the dice game, which is a dice quick filler version of Nations, which is a much bigger Civ game.
Yes.
Nations, the dice game, I've played a ton of because you can play it digitally on Tabletopia, and you can play it in like literally 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's very quick.
I haven't played it, yeah.
You should. It's really fun. So you're going to be rolling dice out, and there's different types of dice you can get that will give you resources and things. And then there's a tableau of tiles that you can get that are building up your civilization. So like most Civ games, you can work on wonders of the world. You can get leaders. You can go kind of conquer nations. And you can basically upgrade your society, which will give you access to more and different types of dice.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because if you roll gold, okay, The different types of civilization tiles take gold, but it goes into a kind of a tableau of 1, 2, or 3 gold. So it's kind of randomized there. So certain things might be cheaper or more expensive depending on the game. And it's about using your dice. And they have a cool thing where if I spend my white die that was showing a gold coin, and I put it and I get this new tile that gives me a red and a blue die, I get to then get rid of the white die that I just used, and I get 2 new dice, a red and a blue, to roll out and use that turn. So it's kind of all about like, how do I get as many resources as I can? And red dice will give you more swords, and blue dice will give you more stone and things like that. And there's dice that give you more coins, but it's just super quick and fillery. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, I got that stuff. And you sort of build up this production because those dice you'll get back every round.
Yeah.
And you'll have these little tokens that you'll get back every round. And so you kind of build up over 4 rounds your little empire. But it's kind of like abstracted and just really easy. It goes down smooth and it goes down quick. So it's become kind of like a go-to filler game playing digitally. I've never played it physically, but it's really good. Nations, the dice game. Check it out. If you want a touch of Nations, but you only want it to take 1/15 of the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good game for you. So that is my number 9.
All righty, let's go on to the next 100 and get into our number 8s.
So my next game is 780 overall, and it's an awesome area control game called World's Fair 1893.
Yeah, I almost chose this one.
It's real good.
So good. It's
so
good.
simple. It's stupid, and it's
yeah.
just about you put cubes out into these kind of 5 areas that represent the 5 areas of the World's Fair. So like electricity was a hot new thing, and people are showing off all the things they could do. So there's an electricity area of the World's Fair, and there's agriculture and innovations and things, and what you're wanting to do is you want to kind of get more of your cubes or influence in those different areas in order to get stuff. You can get cards, basically, which fuel a set collection element.
Yeah.
And there's also cards that come with actions that will allow you to add extra cubes to the board, shift cubes around, different things like that. And it's just a super simple way to get into an area control, area influence type mechanic.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of putting these cubes out. You're always going to put a cube in some place or other. You can get midway tickets, which is going around the Ferris wheel, which is a way to score. And then you can, by getting the different color cards, you can create sets and get tokens and things. And if you're leading in different areas, you can get medals and stuff. But like, it's
pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Like, you know where you stand in the area. If you have 5 cubes in agriculture and I've got 1, I'm like, I'm not going to go for that.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard to do. But the interesting thing is over the different rounds, you lose half of your cubes in any of the areas you have. So if Nick gets a huge stranglehold over an area,
half of it's
wiped out, but you still start with maybe a big lead. And so it's like, do I want to let you just like get in there and like basically take that away from everyone for the rest of the game?
What's interesting is like, there's 5 different sectors, you know, and you get more points depending on having area control in different areas. So me getting like, if I have the red area unlocked all game, that doesn't actually help me that much.
Right. Because it's about the cards that come out under there. And it's like,
and it's just like, if I get 6 red, that doesn't actually do much for me because each of those only be worth like 1 point.
The sets you want different colors. So the more different colors you have.
15 points. Yeah. So it's like having all of one type doesn't actually do anything.
So there's a bunch of like 1-pointers.
So it's very interesting. It's so good.
But it's incredibly simple and like
scales
and
well
quick,
too.
scales well. It's just a great game. So that's World's Fair 1893.
Boom.
My number 8.
Yeah.
What you got?
All right, my number 8 is going to be 768 overall, and that is The Bloody Inn. This is a game that is very I would say niche. I don't know, the theme is niche. So the theme is
not very common.
You are I don't know who the hell thought of this theme, but you are a French family and you run an inn, and then you all collectively decide that it is more profitable for you to kill some of your guests and steal their money than have them stay in your inn.
Yep.
So it's a competitive game, not a cooperative game, despite the fact you're all working the same inn. You
want to be the best at the murder.
You want to be the best at the murder, exactly. So essentially you have people coming into the inn, and then you can bribe people to come like kind of onto your little team. Yep. You can also kill guests, but then if you kill a guest, you have to bury that guest. And so you're using these cards to do all of those different things. And it's very interesting because no matter what you're doing, the action never changes. So if all the cards have a ranking from 0 to 3, If it's a 3, it's a very powerful being like a baron, something that's got a lot of money. If you kill them, it's going to be worth a lot. But it's hard to get rid of them because they're a very, I guess, known person.
Yeah, they're powerful, right?
Yeah.
They have
Whereas
influence.
something that's ranked 0 is pretty easy because
They're a peasant.
No one cares about them. It's just like a paper boy. You know. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're bribing someone, whether you're killing someone, whether you're burying the person, whether you're making an annex, you're building out so you have places to bury, it's always the same. If I want to kill this person that is ranked 2, I have to discard 2 cards. If I want to bury this person that's ranked 2, I have to discard 2 cards. It's always the same. So it's very, very simple, but it's this weird balance because each round you only have 2 actions.
Yeah.
So
little time.
Yes, exactly. You have so little time, and you don't want to leave unburied corpses just in case there's police in the building. And it's very, very weird. It's very it's not bloody. Like it's not like gruesome art or anything like that. But it's just the theme is pretty. It's very macabre. But I really like it. I think it's a very simple game that's a very tough balance to make. And it's really, really fun. I like the Bloody Inn. And that is my number 8, which is 768 overall, the Bloody Inn. It's real weird. Give it a shot.
Do it. In the meantime, we'll get into our number 7.
My number 7 is 615 overall. And it's kind of a weird one, but this, for some reason, is on there just in general. It's Cribbage. Cribbage is on there.
Passed right over and didn't even notice that, yes, you're right.
Cribbage is on there.
That's a very important game to us.
Indeed. And Cribbage is a classic card game. If you ever watch our Cribbage chats, which will be in a link above the card.
If I remember to put it up there.
We will remember to put it up there, hopefully. We do Cribbage chats, which is a kind of, I don't know, just a conversation show where we talk about different things in the hobby, but it's very, very relaxed, very chill, and we're just discussing parts of the hobby, but we're playing Cribbage during it.
As you should.
Because Cribbage is a classic card game that was taught to us.
Social game.
Yeah, that was taught to us by our grandparents, and we played it all the time with our grandparents. We still play it today. We have a bunch of different Cribbage boards. We love Cribbage, but it's just a classic card game where you're essentially trying to score points by doing a whole bunch of different stuff, and it's a really, really great game. If you haven't ever played Cribbage, give it a shot. I'm guaranteed there's a billion apps to play Cribbage on and stuff like that. I'm guaranteeing it. Really, really fun game. And it showed up in this 100. I'm like, you know what? I'm picking Cribbage because I freaking love Cribbage, and it's just classic. It's a classic card game for a reason.
It's been around forever, and it's honestly great.
I think the date it came out was 1630.
So, that just proves BGG is not all Cult of the New.
Yeah, obviously. We're in the top 1,000.
Crokinol's way up there, too.
Yeah, that was
forever ago, 1800s,
million years ago. Yeah,
a long time ago.
That's my number. That's my number 7. Is Cribbage.
I love it. My game is slightly newer, Nick, and that's okay. It's 609 overall, and it is Ex Libris.
Oh, I played it last night.
Right, and this is what kind of made me think about it, man. It was like, okay, you're a librarian in a monstrous world, in a fantastical world with gnomes and things.
Yeah.
And in this game, you're just trying to build a sweet library for yourself. You're trying to have the best books. You're trying to have some notable works. You're trying not to have banned books that get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And you want your library to be nice and orderly. You want to have some nice structure to it. You need it to be alphabetical, or else what's the point?
Yeah.
And and all the books are just hilarious and within a fantastical world.
Yes.
So it's a cool game. It's a worker placement game that has a really, really fantastically simple solo.
Yes.
That is incredibly compelling. We have played it solo more than we played it competitively in the last year.
I was playing it solo on stream last night, and I'm to the point now where I actually prefer to play it solo.
Yeah, it's a really good solo game. It's good competitive as well, but solo game is really nice because there are some issues with. There's all these locations. There's all these locations, and they all work a little differently, and they all have text that accompanies their card that tells you what they do, and it's very clear and nice, but it's not very easy to read. And iconography and stuff alone doesn't quite get you there.
Yeah, you can't figure it out from
you kind of are dependent on reading those things.
And the print is about this small. It's incredibly small.
And they have these little things where you can make a booklet for yourself as a reference, but it's just you have to assemble it. It's too much work. So it's nice in a solo game because then you can just you're not messing up other people's turn by doing that. So it's just a great game about being a librarian, and it's puzzly and fun. So that's why it's my number 7. It's just great solo game. So that's our number 7s, and let's get into number 6. All right, so my number 6 is number 511 overall, and it is Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North. Yeah. It's just real good.
I saw this one, I was like, all right, Mike chose that one. I know that for a fact.
It's just real good. I really love it. I love all the different factions. Kind of like with Unmatched, there's the discovery of what does this faction do? Cool. What does this faction do? Cool. Like, I love, that's something I really dig in games.
Yes.
And Empires of the North is very similar in a lot of ways to Imperial Settlers, where you have different factions that have a different feel to them. Empires of the North just does a little more, you're playing with your cards and your cards only. So it's a little more specific to the faction. And you can kind of do these like little actions around. And it's just, I love it because it's about like, get your cards, figure out the engine that this faction builds and build it. And try to build it quicker. It kind of feels like a racing game. Try to get it up and running faster than your opponents can.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is pretty cool. And like it makes the game snappy. So I super dig it. And it's you can play cards out, action cards. You can then tap to do their things, and you're getting resources, spending resources. And again, each faction will operate differently. Sometimes you want to store resources on cards to create points generation. Other ones,
it always depends on the faction.
You're going through a lot of cards. You're building and tearing things down, and it's all faction dependent.
It's really
and stuff.
fun, yeah.
And that's why I love it, because you just get to spend time discovering how to work each group of folks. So I'm just excited. I want a billion more expansions. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Just buy them all.
Yeah, that's it. So Empires of the North is great. Play it if you haven't, and especially if you like Imperial Settlers, give this one a try, and let us know if you like.
Or 51st State. Let's be honest.
Let's be real.
It's been like the same game.
Or whatever the next game they make. The point is, put your favorite in the comments below.
Boom. There you go. No, love it. Absolutely.
What do you got?
All right, my number 6 is 565 overall, and this was a pretty easy one for me, and this is The Networks. The Networks was in my top 5. It's probably in my top 15 at this point, but nonetheless, I love The Networks. The Networks is a great theme. Great game where you are building out a TV station. You each have a TV station, and you are buying shows, putting those shows into time slots, either 8, 9, or 10 p.m.
It's all prime time.
All prime time. You're not doing like Tuesday afternoon. No. And you're trying to put shows in those time slots. The shows have different genres like sci-fi or action or drama or comedy or whatever. So you're trying sports. Sports. You're trying to get your station to be known for something. So if you get a lot of different, if you get a lot of the same kind of genre, your station gets known as like the drama station or like the reality show station, you know? And run a little True TV or something.
Why not? Why not? It's all good.
Yeah, and then it's got this really cool thing where when you get a show, it starts off in season 1, which makes sense. And every round, your shows age to the next season, so season 1 to season 2. And a lot of times, your shows like start off okay, but then in season 2 and 3 or something like that, they get a lot more viewers. Viewers in this game are points. But then a lot of time in like season 4, it tanks. Because people are over it at that point, you know? It's like
they did all their best episodes already.
Yeah, if you go big sci-fi show, it's like after the first 2 seasons, people are like, all right, we get it, you know, and then it just tanks. And so you have to constantly switch out your shows, try to maximize your viewers. Your shows, you can put stars on to increase your viewers. You can put ads on to get money. It's just so fun, and it feels unlike any game I've ever played in terms of the mechanics. It doesn't feel like anything else. It's really fun. It also has probably my second favorite solo version at this point. I think Feast for Odin's taken over as my favorite solo game. Although Ex Libris is up there too. Now I think about it.
There's a lot of good solo stuff out there.
Really, really great solo version. Really great 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. It's incredible. Great expansions. Try the Networks. It's
Do get the Networks executives expansion. That
very fun.
Takes it next level.
Yes, it does.
It's already great, but executives is real good.
Oh yeah, it's real good.
Awesome.
Right. And that is our number 6. Let's go ahead and get number 5.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5 is 493 at the very, very top of this particular 100, and that is Shakespeare. Shakespeare, if you know
guessed it right.
You've heard of us talk about it a billion times. A lot of these games you've heard us talk about. This is one of our kind of evangelism games that we really push people to play, push people to try out because we think it's criminally underrated and underplayed. Well, it's not really underrated. People who play it like it. It's criminally underplayed.
I feel like not enough folks play it, but I think folks that do typically really like it. I mean, it's a great game where you're trying to put on a theater show.
Yeah, you're trying to put on a play.
It's a cool theme for a game, you know?
Theater is also theater, TV, movies, there should be more games based around that theme, you know?
Super interesting.
But nonetheless, it's a kind of a worker placement action selection game, and you are building out your show. So you can build out your set, you can get different actors and actresses, you can put costumes on those actors and actresses, you can activate different things, and you can work on the 3 acts of the play, Act 1, 2, and 3. You can work on them all a lot. You can work on like all Act 3, screw Act 1 and Act 2, where it's going to end with a bang. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but this is like the epitome of I need to do 10 things and I can do 2 of them.
Right.
So which ones am I going to do and which ones am I going to do in which order? And then this is a game where we really, really implore people to, if you're going to get the game, get this expansion with it. This is a game. The expansion 1 is very small. It's only a deck of cards.
I mean, it costs less than $20, and it's such a good value.
Yes, and because this game you have 5 action discs that you can essentially bid with, and that's how many actions you're going to take. In the base game, you bid however many you're going to do. The lower you bid, the person who bids the lowest amount of actions gets to go first, which is very important. But it means all those other actions just wasted. So it's kind of that what do I do? What do I do? Like, do I bid a little bit and get to go first, or bid a lot and get to do more stuff?
Yeah.
But now with the backstage expansion, the ones you keep behind, you get to use in the backstage. And it just takes the game and just goes and completes it, and it's perfect. And
now there's just even more juicy options, and it opens the game up, but does it through creating even more excruciating moments of choice.
So good. Yeah, Shakespeare's incredible. Check it out. We love it.
Great art, dumb art.
Dumb art. Yeah. So good. It's my number 6. I'm sorry, my number 5 rather. It's so good. So good.
So flippin' good. My number 5 is ranked 449 overall, and it is Baseball Highlights 2045, another game you've heard us talk a lot about.
Yep.
It's a fantastic 2-player game. You can play with more players and kind of do a tournament if you want, but you're always going to do a 1v1 kind of...
3-player baseball.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That'd be wild.
But this is a game
Who's pitching to who?
It's everyone just pitches at the same time. And if you hit,
you gotta do this. You got really ambidextrous people.
Two bats and just. That'd be awesome.
So intense, dude.
They could probably do that because in this game you have robots and cyborgs and natural humans playing baseball. And it's a kind of a back and forth card game where you're playing a game that I'm trying to directly react to what you just played and what types of offense you're threatening. And so maybe I'm going to try to cancel that, your home run that you're about to hit. And then provide potentially my own offense that you are then reacting to while providing your own. So there's these dual layer cards that will at times present some defensive things with some offensive things at the bottom. Sometimes they're all kind of offensive based, and I'm gonna let you score those runs, but I'm gonna do this big card right now. And it's all about this kind of back and forth, this tug of war. And you're playing a couple series of ball games. You're going to play kind of a starter series and a World Series, and it's a best of 3, 5, 7. We kind of usually do longer games because I like to play more stuff. And then you can recruit players throughout it. When you recruit a new card, you have to get rid of a card. So your card's deck stays at 15 no matter what, which is fantastic. And it's all about how do I upgrade rather than just add on.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool game with a really cool theme of kind of futuristic baseball.
It's awesome.
It's just fantastic. You've heard us talk a lot about it, and that's why it's my number 5, y'all.
Boom.
With that, I guess we should get number 4.
Let's do it.
My number 4 is 322 overall, and it is Quadropolis.
Yeah.
City building, tile, adjacency, goodness.
I wanted to pick this one,
I know. I got there first.
Mike got there first.
I knew it. I'm probably taking this
list before I did. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I'll pick something else.
That's okay. There are a lot of other good options, but Quadropolis is a fantastic tile drafting, in a way, game, and it does it really cool because you have these architect tiles that have 1 through 4 in the basic game on them, and there's a grid of available tiles to then put into your city. And you have limitations based on the architect you choose. If I choose my number 2 person and I put them on the side over here, I'm gonna go 1, 2 tiles in, and that's the tile I'm taking. The second tile in, based on whatever direction you point, the tile itself is an arrow saying this way. And whatever way you're going, you're gonna pick up that tile. And then also that number is gonna dictate certain areas in your city that it can go. It has to either go in the number 2 column or the number 2 row, or on the advanced side, the number 2 zone. So you're trying to get the right tiles adjacent to the right tiles, but you're limited because your architects can only grab things from certain spaces within each row or column that they're trying to grab, and that dictates where they can go. So it creates this really rad puzzle.
It's so interesting.
And it's just all about like, these types of buildings want to be in a line. These types of buildings want to be next to parks. These type of buildings want to have people in them for stores and things like that. And so it's got a great play area that shows you how they work, how they score. And everything is just kind of iconography. That's just, it makes sense when you're doing it. It's really amazing how simple it is so that you can just trip out on the puzzle.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about that one as well. Quadropolis is just really fun every time. And we only recently, relatively, started playing the advanced mode, which is even better. So play the advanced mode. It's great. Don't wait as long as we did.
We were worried that it was going to be a lot heavier, and it's not that much heavier.
No, but it is a different experience. It's
totally
very cool. So Quadropolis is my number 4.
My number 4 is ranked 364 overall, and this is Downforce.
Yeah.
Downforce is the only racing game worth playing.
Only racing game for me, man.
Yeah. No, that's not true. I like racing games, but this is a game where you are actually racing, like racing cars. You are racing like Formula 1 cars.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of racing, those kinds of like racing games. I like racing games where it's like you're just racing to do something, but like those kind of things, like I just don't have any interest in playing a game where like I have to shift to then go around this turn. It just, to me, sounds like the most boring thing on the planet. So this one is a racing game where there's 6 different cars going around a track, 1 lap, that's it. We're not doing 500 laps like in NASCAR or whatever.
Once you see the 4 left turns, you kind of get it.
You don't got nothing else to do.
I see what's happening here.
But here's the thing, we are all owners of the cars, and we are essentially betting on which cars we think are gonna win.
Yep.
You do not have to bet on your own car, though.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. So then you're playing out these cards, and these cards will have some and or all of the cars on them. So you have to, on your turn, you'll play a card, and you have to move all the cars that are on that card.
The amount that are showing, if they can move.
Exactly, and they move certain amounts, and you have to move them in a certain order. And so you're essentially trying to get the cars that you want to win out in front and stuff, and you might abandon your own car. You're like, screw orange car, not making it. Screw
Not
it,
gonna happen.
just let it die back there. But you know what? The red car's crushing it. I'm pushing red across the thing.
Yeah.
And you're gonna bet in the game 3 times. You're gonna bet on who you think is gonna win, and depending on how well you bet, you get a certain amount of money at the end of the game, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most money wins.
Yep.
And it's just so much fun, and it's such an interesting take. And one thing I like about this game is like, just because your car is losing doesn't mean you're gonna lose. Yeah. A lot of times, like in a racing game, like if you're way in the back, you're never catching up. You're just done.
Yeah.
And it's like this one, it doesn't matter. You can just abandon your car and just go for someone else's car, and it works very well. And every car has a little bit of a special power, so there's little things you can do. But then at this point, there's like 6 maps.
There's 6 maps. Yeah.
There's 6 different maps. So it's like, on all the maps are different. One has like jumps, one has like stampeding animals on it, one has like a big loop. They're really weird and crazy.
Yeah.
And so now it's like you can play the same game over and over and over again, just on a different map, and it's so much fun.
It's fun. It's quick. It's, it doesn't get in its own way. And the whole thing, like you said, if your car's been blocked a bunch of times, which is really fun to do, and try to block each other's cars, you can sort of form a loose alliance, because on your cards, I might have a lot of red, like you said. I'm like, well, I'm gonna make red happen, and I'm gonna hope to play somewhere in the middle, and I can maybe make that work. So that's just super fun. You can kind of like talk smack and stuff, but it doesn't get into the nitty gritty, which it's cool that games do that. About like, you got to break in here. It's like, no, you're just going. You just gotta go as fast as you can. And you're never out of the game, and it's quick. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Great. It's great. Downforce is my number 4. It's so good. Let's go ahead and get into our number 3s. Ooh, we're in 201 to 300 now. We're getting in the top.
Finally, some good games. God.
So number 3, which is in that top 100. My number 3 is ranked 220 overall, and that is Rococo.
Yeah.
Rococo. I
saw that, and I'm
Rococo.
like, well, there's Nick's picks. I'm gonna
yeah,
move on.
I love Rococo. I do. Rococo is a game where you are trying to be fancy pants.
Why not?
Essentially, there's a big ball going on at the King's Palace, and you are all garment workers.
Yeah, right. I would say we're aristocrats. Like, no, we're not. We're the people that work for the people.
We're the people who make the dresses and the fancy coats for the men and women going to the ball.
Right.
And essentially, so what you're trying to do is it's a small deck building game where you have a deck of cards, and the deck of cards are different employees. You have apprentices, you have
journeymen and masters.
Journeymen and then masters. Yeah. And you're essentially playing a card and then sending them out to essentially go do an action. And the action could be getting supplies, like getting different types of silk or lace or thread, and then, or like making a suit, making a dress. You're essentially trying to get those things and then put that then into the palace, and that's someone wearing your garment to the palace, and you are trying to get the most prestige, because if I have the best garments in the highest floors, even up on the terrace to watch the fireworks, so all up there is all my dresses, I'm crushing.
You want everyone to say, who are you wearing?
Yeah,
you
who
want
are
that person
wearing?
to be you.
Are you wearing a Nick Murphy or are you wearing a Mike Murphy? Mike Murphy's a crab, Nick Murphy's slightly better.
He's like, yo, let me give you a 10 thread count suits.
10 thread count suits, come in. But it's like, and it's just the little puzzle of the game is super, super fun of trying to get the resources you need to make the garments that you need.
Yeah.
You can also tip the scales a little bit, where each floor you can essentially you can sponsor a musician. Yeah. So you're like, oh, I'm a sponsor a violin player. You'd be like, so that's sponsor a tuba player. Like, so like that. And so
you want to make the party happen.
Yeah,
You want to touch as many bits of this event as you can.
You can make a fountain out front, so all this different stuff. It's very, very fun. It's a really, really good game that for a long time got completely overlooked, but now there's been this kind of grassroots campaign for it.
It's back.
And now it's like they got like a big old deluxe edition coming out. And so that's pretty cool. So I'm glad to see it's finally getting the credit I think it deserves, because I think it's a really incredible game. Yeah. So that's my number 3, which is Rococo.
Nice. My number 3, it's so funny to talk about. It's underrated, but it was in the top 300.
I guess that's true, right?
But it's just, again, it wasn't talked about enough. That's important.
Thing. Not enough people
my number 3 is 202 overall. It's a 2-player game with great little art. It's called Hanamikoji.
Yeah.
Hanamikoji is a game.
I saw this one. I chose that one.
Y'all know we've been talking about this game. We love this game. It's just a great 2-player game where you're vying for the influence of various geisha, and you're doing it through 4 action types that we both will execute in a round. We'll execute all 4 actions. The order in which you do them is up to you, but you have to do all 4. Yeah. And one of them, you're going to burn 2 cards that are in your hand, and another one, you're gonna ferret squirrel away a card for later. You can put it like a nut in a tree. Another one, I'm going to present 3 cards to my opponent. They're going to choose one. I get the other 2. And then there's an I split you choose, where I make 2 pairs of cards. My opponent chooses one, and I get the other one. So there's all these excruciating choices, because the cards will belong to the various geisha out there. And at the end of the round, if I have more cards of a certain type than you, I get the influence of that person. I want these people to come work for me versus my opponent. And it's just a great, simple, tight game that does so much with so little. It's like 20 cards, and it's just super tactical and great. And you're trying to put together, like, what does my opponent have? What are they doing over there? Burning certain cards. What do they think they're burning? It's fantastic. So Hanamikoji is my number 3, 202 overall.
Yeah, real good. It's a great 2-player game. It's small. It's incredible. It's incredible. Check it out.
Do.
All right, that's our number 3s. Let's get into number 2.
Yeah. My number 2 is only a couple slots higher than my last game, but it is in the top 200. It's 199 overall, and it is Seasons. Yeah. Seasons is a fantastic game.
You know what's good, Mike, too? The expansion for Seasons.
You should try it. You shouldn't wait like 3 years after you buy it to try it.
You shouldn't buy it for like 4 years later, try the expansion.
We did that.
We did that like a week or two.
So much about ourselves. Do try the expansion. It's great. Both of them. So Seasons is a game where we are running through 3 years of like a competition, a magical competition. And we are kind of trying to wield the different elements, the classical elements. We got earth, air, wind, air, fire, and water.
Metal.
Metal, it's sick, and dopeness. And you are trying to get like these energy tokens to then fuel these magic items and get familiars and things, magical creatures. And you're gonna be playing them out in front of you in a tableau of cards that will give you abilities, gives you access to scoring, all sorts of things. Yeah. There's tons of different types of cards. And this game has a cool thing because you draft out cards in the beginning. However many players you're playing with, you'll draft out until everyone has 9 cards. And then you're gonna choose 3 cards for each little set, and you're gonna have 3 cards available in each year. So you will get all 9 cards eventually, but you're only gonna get 1 per kind of big round. Yeah. And it's just a cool game of drafting out these dice, where you roll these dice, which will give you access to those element tokens. You'll have the ability to transmute stuff into crystals, which become your points. You can get the access to summon more cards. Yep. There's just kind of all these different things to focus on, and you can kind of build little engines for yourself. Yeah. And so it's just a really fun game that every time we play it, and we don't play it enough, but every time we play it, I'm like, like
that's why.
I I really like this game.
Yeah.
I forget
You
every.
crushed
I
that
really
last
like
time,
it.
too.
I did crush at it last time. I had a really good game of it, which helps me.
Yes.
With my
It's
liking
so
of it.
good,
But it's just a
dude.
great game. It's just a cool game, cool art, fun little
Yeah.
engines you can build, and with that drafting of cards in the start, you can kind of get a direction that you're going, and then it's all about kind of executing that. And yeah, it's great. Seasons is a really cool game.
Yeah,
Just really enjoy
good.
it. It's my number 2.
That's right. My number 2 is actually on a couple ranks higher than Mike. It is 195 overall, and that is Dungeon Petz.
Yeah.
Again, another game that if you've watched our top 10s or known us for a couple of years now,
You've
you
heard
know
of
that we
this.
love this game.
Yeah.
This was tough for me. Now we're in, again, 101 to 200. There are a lot of really good games in this one.
It's hard
I
to
ended up going with
choose.
Dungeon Petz because it's one of the games that kind of got us into the hobby, and to this day, we don't play it that much because it's a bit of a heavier game, and therefore it just doesn't
Just takes a little while.
Yeah, and it doesn't get to the
to
table
set
as
up.
much as it should, but man, it is so good. So this is a game, it's kind of a in theme sequel to Dungeon Lords by Vlad
It's in the
Chvátil.
same world, yeah.
Yeah, and you are a little imp family, and you are running a pet store, and you are essentially raising monsters to then sell to dungeon lords.
Yeah.
And so there's all these different kinds of monsters, and they have all different kinds of needs. Some monsters need to eat a ton. Some monsters get really, really angry. Some monsters are magical and are constantly trying to break out of cages with magic. Some monsters want to play a lot. They're just fluffy and they want to play. And
lovable.
so essentially you get these monsters, and you're raising these monsters, and you have to meet their needs. So if they need to eat, you need to get them food. If they are going to attack you physically, you need to make sure you have a cage strong enough to hold them. Same with magic. If they want to play, you need to make sure you have an imp that can go throw a ball for them and play with them. So essentially, you're trying to cater these pets because there's dungeon lords that will be coming to town in the later rounds, and you then can sell them to the dungeon lords. And dungeon lords want certain things. There's a
They
big,
want certain traits.
yeah, there's a big dungeon master. He's very mean and very, very stern, and he's like, I want one who's very magical and he gets angry a lot because I'm a strong dungeon master kind of thing. And so then you're then trying to cater this monster to then sell to him for the most points possible.
Yeah.
And again, kind of like Shakespeare, it's the equivalent of a game where you're like, I need to do 10 things, I can do 3 of them. What am I going to do in what order? Because it's worker placement, which means someone might go take
Yeah.
the spot I need. And it's
That happens a lot.
so difficult. But it's just this kind of like Prodigals Club. It's like it's a big, heavy game that is much more accessible because the theme is so light. The theme is just so light and airy and fun and super cute.
Yeah.
And yet there's
Kind of
this
keeps you going.
beefy game underneath
Right.
it. And it's so fun and weird, and poop is a big part of it, and it's great. And I love it so much. Dungeon Petz, always gonna be one of my favorite games. It's incredible. That's my number 2. Let's get into the most unclimactic.
I know. I almost thought about just trolling and choosing something off the wall. But this is, I'm going to tell you right now, these are going to be both of our, at present,
Number one games of all time. People that
That's
number one
fine.
games are in the top 100.
You'll never guess what they are. What's this game that no one's ever heard you talk about before, Nick?
Viticulture.
Oh, what? Wait. Everyone's heard you talk about it.
Viticulture is my favorite game of all time. It happens to be in the top 100 because we're going from number 1.
Because we're cult
to
of the
100.
new, sue us.
It's not even that cult of the new anymore.
Cult of the few years ago.
It is ranked 21 overall, and that is Viticulture. Viticulture is my favorite game. I love it so much. I like worker placement games. There's been a lot of them on this list, as you might have noticed.
Go figure.
It's my favorite game. I still love it. It's still my favorite game. It's incredible. It's a game where you are running a vineyard, making wine, which is a theme that is weirdly interesting to me, despite the fact that neither of us drink.
It's just a cool industry,
It's just
though.
a cool, yeah. It's a cool engine building.
Wineries and vineyards, it's a romantic
Like I wish,
profession.
exactly, and like I love the look of vineyards. I love the look of wineries. I just wish all those grapes were like Mountain Dew,
Well, yeah.
and I could squish them into Mountain Dew. Because
Dude,
I want a vineyard.
so
but
we're
what
gonna
the
make
hell am I
Mountain Dew
gonna do with a vineyard?
kombucha.
Huh?
We're gonna make some Mountain Dew kombucha.
I don't want that.
Do the booch.
Nah, do the booch. Can you do some hashtag do the booches in chat?
Boom.
But no, it's like I want a winery someday. But what the hell am I gonna do with it?
Dude, make pure profit because you're not gonna be dipping into your supply.
That's a kind of a good point.
We should be the ones doing the job. We just
That's
need
a
to
very good
hire
point.
some taste testers.
But nonetheless, Viticulture is a very popular game. Again, it's in the top 25 of all time. It's incredible. I love it so much. It's my favorite game. Been my favorite game for a little while now. I love it. Viticulture, I don't need to talk about it anymore. What's your favorite game of all time, Mike?
Mine is ranked one spot lower than yours, and it's about 21 spaces too low, period, because it's the best game of all time. It's A Feast for Odin.
Yeah, it's really good.
A Feast for Odin is still my number one as of this recording. Will it stay that way?
Fancy new insert for
We
it.
did, which is going to make it extra fun to play. Yeah, it's just a great game. It's a worker placement game. Uwe Rosenberg. You get a bunch of workers, you're putting them out on the spots, getting stuff, turning into other things to hopefully put it into a polyomino tiles thing, and it's just putting shapes in places.
It's so good.
And it's just really fun.
As of our last 100, it was my third favorite game. So
yeah, it's just fantastic. Every time I play it, I'm just like, yep, still love it more than the rest. Okay. Now I know that, you know? It's just great. So Feast for Odin is my number one, as you'd expect. Check it out. It's great. Greatest game of all time. And that's our list, everybody.
Whoa.
We're done.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Shouts out to Mike for thinking of this list. I think we thought this was a very interesting idea of taking your favorite game from each 100. So down in the chat, do the same thing. Go through the top 1,000 games on BGG.
You only get one per 100.
One per 100. Exactly. So go ahead. Same thing. Put in the chat. It's kind of interesting because you also realize how many great games there are in that 1,000. A lot of people are like, oh, if it's not in the top 100, it's crap. It's like, nah, man.
Take any section of 100, you will find just dumb bangers in there.
Yeah, exactly. So put some dumb bangers in chat, you know.
Dumb bangers in chat, dude.
And yeah, so thank you so much for being here. We want to give a huge shout out, as we do in all our top 10s, to our patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Scroll by. Thank you so much. We shout out our patrons, our top 10, because they make us be able to do this job. It's a huge support to us. And it's just so amazing and moving that people would want to support us in the first place.
To put work out, then people are like, yes, more please.
Yeah, more
I want to do what I can. It's really, it's
here's $1 a month. Like, that's huge. I mean, it's such a small thing that you may not think means a lot, but it really, really does. Yeah. And so thank you so much to all of our patrons. We really, really love you, really appreciate you. And if you're interested in our Patreon, check out the link in the description down there below.
And that's for it for us. We will see y'all in the next one.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks so much for watching this top 10. Again, put your favorite games from the top 1,000, one per 100 in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see another top 10, you can go right over there and check it out. You can see something down there that's going to be super duper cool. And also in the comments, put a top 10 you want to see us do.
Yes.
And then we'll do it.